Welcome to the Kaizorian experience. Over here, we're going to be talking about everything African. We're going to be having debates, discussions, entertainment, as well as learning about business, art, history, and everything in between. Cultural, tribalism, and everything. We're going to be out here debating with some really interesting stuff. So, like the video, share the video, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe for the best experience ever. This is the biggest channel on the Afrosphere. So come and join the team, become a Kaizorian, and join the Kaizorian Empire. Universally exist within myself, within this premise, and I exist within this bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like the bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma throw my bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma soar like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly like bluebird in the sky. I'ma fight like bluebird in the sky. I'ma eat like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be free like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Back again like the second coming. Strumming my vocal cords like the hummingbird in the sky. Y'all can't deny this. Real rap lyrics, it's like I ain't got no rhyming through the sky limit. What is skin tone, shade of color, but a parallel form of frequency like a ringtone on your phone. Melanin expression, tied up in the universe, feeling like God's. Is it really us? Is it serious? Is it really wrong to be diverse? I'm a divergent, immerse myself like an ocean beneath this waves. Be a divergent, born to be different. Indigo child, wild like canary. Born to be a bluebird in the sky, flying high like a bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Everybody scream bluebird in the sky. I'ma fly high, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. Yeah, bluebird in the sky. Everybody, bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like bluebird in the sky. I'ma be like born black, sweet like a berry. Flying high, high like a canary. Scary with my hoodie on. Hating on my vibe on the street jet. You'll be feeling my frequency of the song. But I know that I ain't never ever gonna be ever the same. But I know. Shalom, shalom, mother loving one. What's good, my dusties and ladies and dustlemen, right? What's good? Well, we're just going to be analyzing the situation in Niger that's been happening, right? Title of this show is Macron condemns Niger junta and refuses to acknowledge them. The negotiations over the troops being removed from Niger, of course, right? Now, yeah, we might as well just get straight into it, right?
The showdown between France and Niger's ruling junta continues, with French President Emmanuel Macron saying his country's ambassador to Niger is being held hostage.
Yeah, so what's happening with this whole hostage situation is the ambassador was asked to leave and he's refused to leave. So of course the junta is, playing its own games as well, right? So of course you could claim that as being hostage by not allowing, let's say, adequate food from actually entering the embassy, right? So it's one of those situations. But the thing is, legally speaking, Niger cannot just kick out the ambassador from France. Because technically, right, there's bilateral agreements that are internationally protected by United Nations and other, large organizations. So you do have to do this in a diplomatic way. Sure, they can do what they're doing right now, but they cannot physically remove him from the embassy.
Macron told reporters this on Friday, adding that the French ambassador is now fed only on military rations. In Niger,
so as you can see, man, this brother is out here complaining, saying he's being starved out, man. That's insane. But as I said, right, this is a game that France is playing, and it's a game that the new ruling party or military group in Niger is also playing, right? It's a back and forth game between France and this new government. And of course, Macron saying, I don't acknowledge this new government. This is some illegal occupation of Niger by people that they don't recognize, right? France wants the Arab leader Bazoum back in control.
Niger's military leaders told French Ambassador Sylvain Ité he had to leave the country after they overthrew President Mohamed Bazoum on July 26.
Yep. So things are heating up right now in Niger. A lot of people are mad. A lot of people are wondering what's going on. They're waiting for the next news to happen. And as I mentioned earlier, they cannot, legally speaking, use violence to remove the ambassador, right? It's protected, right? These are agreements that are protected by international law. But in the situation, the troops, that's different. That was an agreement made between only two countries, right? It's not really a enforceable in international space. So getting rid of the troops will be easier actually than getting rid of an ambassador that doesn't want to leave a strip of land that they believe is French land, which technically, according to international law, it is, right? The embassy occupies a space in Niger, but it's really actually a continuation of France, right? So of course they can't attack it by violence. Otherwise, that could ensue into an actual international war. And of course, Niger doesn't want that, right? They can't actually defend themselves against that.
Macron will thank his stars that the military authorities in Niger have finally given him the reason he's been looking for to invade Niger since they took power. And we all know, going by history, that wars have started for lesser reasons. Since the standoff began at the French embassy following the refusal of the French ambassador to leave Niger after being declared persona non grata by the Nigerian authorities, the Nigerian police have been conducting searches of all vehicles leaving and entering the French embassy. In one of those searches, they caught this man who, by the way, is an elected official at the French embassy. He also doubles as an advisor to French citizens. He advises them on many issues.
Yep. So as you can see, the Nigerian government right now, the new government, right, the junta, that's well, I don't know why I'm even calling it junta, right? That's some Arab word. Right? The new ruling military regime in Niger is being extremely careful, right? It's doing a lot of checks, making sure that there is no transfer of extreme levels of information coming in or out of the embassy, aka they don't want any sort of espionage situations going on. Shout out to them. I think that is smart, right? Because usually what I see with a lot of these African countries is lack of organized leadership, right? But when you're looking at something like this where they're so organized and they're operating, at high levels, this actually goes off to show some hope in these African countries, right?
In Niger, they caught him with military regalia of Burkina Faso Air Force.
Exactly. Like I said, right? This is good news for them, right? They're actually out here searching people. They're finding people with military regalia, right, from Burkina Faso. So as you can see, some of these situations aren't as straightforward as they are. There's a lot of games being played by loads of different people, and shout out to Niger for actually being very, very forthcoming in the way that they're dealing with internal security, right? A lot of people here on these panels, like to Niger, will talk about security, but security doesn't just mean having a big army. It means having a very organized army that can actually pull off operations like this. So shout out to them.
This happened on the 8th of September. Since then, he has been in detention and France has been demanding for his release. It's not clear if the Nigerian police have released the man, but Macron might be counting his time. He might be saying, hey, this is my opportunity to strike.
No, it's very unlikely, right, that France will strike using their own soldiers, right? That's going to cause a huge international issue with that might lead to a different sort of regional war. But most likely, what countries do these days is they hire mercenaries, and they obviously tell the mercenaries not to give away who hired them, so that they can look like they're not taking any fault or blame, right? That's typically how they do it these days, right? It's very rare that these countries or these groups will just engage in full force fire unless it's a situation like where we have Russia or Ukraine, right, where it's like obviously land borders and other territorial disputes.
This just shows how the relationship between Niger and France has deteriorated in the past few weeks. France still thinks they can lord it over Nigerians. How long will they continue to say that they do not recognize the authority of the Nigerian military? On the other hand, the United States seems to have abandoned France to their fate. They've now negotiated with the military and resumed their flights in their military base. They are now flying their drones and
Yep. America is actually acting really high IQ, right? Because America knows that they need this military bases that they have in the Sahel because it gives them access to Africa and security reasons as well, right? Between their competitors, aka Russia, Wagner, and all those other groups. So America is playing extremely intelligently in this whole situation because in American Constitution, or rather the American laws, they cannot work with terrorists, right? And they cannot work with a so-called juntas and all these coup governments. So the fact that America never declared this a military coup is great news for America because it means they can still work with them, right? That was very strategic for them because they realized, hey, listen, we're not going to get involved in this. This has nothing to do with us. This is an anti-French sentiment that's brewing over, nothing to do with them. So given that information, America has been extremely quiet. Even if you search out this Nigerian coup situation, a lot of American media are not focusing on it, right? Because they don't want to be involved in the backlash. They want to obviously still have military bases within the Sahel, and they still want to be able to have control over their interest groups, right? Let me see if I can pull up which countries in the Sahel America has military bases, right? This will give and shed a couple light over here, right? So this is just 5 of them, right? Let's say this report here states that Pentagon Man shows network of 29 US bases in Africa, right? So I'm not too sure if this is accurate, right? But this is the interceptor. But we can go through here and kind of see. Let me just download the piece of information, seeing if we can get a little bit clearer on where these military bases are, right? Okay, so there it is, right? So this is from the Intercept. Pentagon own map, right? Their specific map of US bases in Africa contradicts its claim of light footprint, right? I don't care about the article, right? If you just look at this situation here, right? You can clearly see that this is within that area, right? Burkina Faso, there's Guinea, there's Chad, etc., right? And there's a list as well if we can't really see it that well, right? We obviously know they have one near, Manda Bay in Kenya, right? You got the one in Mombasa, right? That's in Kenya, etc. If you go down, obviously we know in Niger, right? They've got a couple actually, right? They've got Arlit in Niger, you got Dirko in Niger, Difa, Niger, Olam, Niger. So you got around 4 different bases, right, in Niger. So clearly America was playing it coy when they didn't label this a military coup because they still want to maintain power and control over this military bases. 4 of them in just one country is crazy, right? And this is for their own peace, their own security concerns as well, right? So all I'm saying is America is playing extremely intelligent with this whole situation of not calling them a military coup, etc.
usual. Yes, that's the right thing to do. Macron must come down from his high horse and negotiate with the military authorities in Niger. They are the ones in power. If they've set out a transition program, the country will follow the transition program and they will conduct an election and get back to civil rule. It's as simple as that. What has happened has happened. Macron shouldn't have allowed the situation to deteriorate to this level. The Nigerian authorities have added starvation as some of the measures against the French embassy. Look at the Nigerian police arresting someone trying to deliver pastries and bread to the embassy.
Yeah, so this is shout out to them, right? Because obviously the embassy is legally, until further notice, the land that belongs to France, right? That's how embassies work. You can't go and arrest someone in an embassy because that is technically a separate country. Now, what they can do though, they can prevent food stuff and other resources from arriving into the embassy, because they do control the outside of the embassy, right? The land is Nigerian land. So that's how this sort of works. Sounds a little bit like an oxymoron, but they do control the outside of the region, so they can control all these other areas.
This just proves that the French have overstayed their welcome in Niger Republic. One thing to like about Nigerians is their understanding of people power. They've been holding these massive rallies every day against the French interest in their country, against their military base, everything concerning the French. Since Macron said that.
Now, look, I like having a very singularly, focused attack on any particular thing. I like that because it has a lot of direction. But the issue that I have here is, are these people over here protesting? Do they believe that France is their only enemy? Do they really think that once France has been removed, their life will improve? No, it won't. Let's be realistic here, right? It won't improve, at least not immediately. The only way their life will improve is if the ministers who now sign the new deals with whichever countries to mine uranium and other resources like oil that they have is going to actually be a good deal, right? So you can't just say France gave you bad deals without holding your own ministers and your own government at fault as well, right? Or rather responsibility. So what I fear is the hopefulness, the optimism from the population without the accountability as well. If you don't keep your ministers and leaders accountable, you end up in the same situation with other countries, be it France, be it Russia, or any other countries, right? So that to me is where I am sort of confused, right? At the optimism that's going on. If it's not directed optimism, then to me, I see it as unfortunately not going to yield the fruits that they want.
He doesn't recognize the military authorities as the legitimate power in Niger. These massive rallies are meant to show that they actually have the people's support. Yes, Macron's strategy in Niger is very, very counterproductive. If about 50% of Nigerians supported the military in the beginning, with all Macron has done, questioning their authority, trying to lord it over them, and all he has done, by now, up to 60 or 70% actually support the military against France. So he ended up giving them more legitimacy. If they initially planned to stay 1 year or 2 years in power, now they've said 3 years, by the way, they can even say 5 years now and people will accept it. They can come out and say, we have to sort out France first. We have to make sure their military base is closed down.
Yeah, but like I keep saying, guys, right? And I want us to really think through about this. I get it, right? They know that they're the Nigerians are the ones that live in that country, so they themselves know how important getting rid of France is, and the French military and everything. But the issue that I keep having is, are they really aware of how the international markets play? And that to me is a way something that's not considered. America Black Holocaust Survivor says, did you know is an ADOS FBA at the highest level of United States military, aka the shot caller, aka the head ninja in charge. The only person higher is the president. Well, that's cool. That's really good for that. And this is why we say the fact that there's around 15 or let's say 12 to 15% black population in America, this does protect black African countries as well, because in the same way, let's say if you looked at the Ethiopian civil war between the Ethiopian government and the Tigray government, what happened is the Ethiopian government removed more or less as many, if not all, the Tigrayans from the army, because they knew if you're going to launch an attack on Tigray, people of Tigray descent will not want to do it, right? They might even cause a mutiny within the ranks, right? And cause a lot of distortion in the army. So they more or less just removed anyone from the Tigray tribe. So in the same case, what I'm projecting here is the fact that there's so many Black Americans in the U.S. Army, right? And a straight out attack against Black African countries by American army is very unlikely, right? There has to be like a very good reason for it to occur, because a lot of Black Americans will see other Black people and they'll be like, no, this is not doesn't feel right. So that's a good point, but that actually works in African people's favor. America, black Holocaust survivor.
Embassies closed down, they will just name many things that they will do first before handing over power to civilians. The citizens will accept because they've seen France now as a common enemy. It's no longer about legitimacy, whether the military were right in taking power and deposing Bazoum. It's now about sovereignty. Why should France continue to dictate to them how they will operate their country, how they will run their affairs? So that's the sentiments in the streets of Niger. People are protesting and telling them, go back to your country, leave us alone. This particular rally conducted by students, they've done the one of women only, the one of general rally, anyone.
Now, this is a great point that the brothers just mentioned. By France, playing its games, it's alienating a lot of people, right? It's actually making the Nigerians more nationalistic and anti-French, because what this situation is, right? France is just playing the same bad games, right? Refusing to acknowledge the Nigerian army as the leader, right? And this, again, is a sovereign state. So if you don't acknowledge them, and the Nigerian population, most of them at this point, from what the news that we're hearing, acknowledges it, can actually unify a lot of the Nigerians against France. And that's one of the issues that's going on here. That is one of the issues that is going on over there, right? It's legitimacy. So this is no longer just a fight against French political regime, the French foreign regime, right? Foreign, rules and laws and structures. No, this is also against, or rather fighting for the own sovereignty. Mrs. H says, an American YouTuber said that he believed that America base would smuggle food to France when this first started. How will affect the French-American relationship? Well, I don't know how much this will affect it, because I think France is not America's biggest ally. I think America's biggest ally is United Kingdom. So when it comes to United Kingdom, I believe that they actually have a deal with America, right? If anyone attacks any of those countries and they do need support, America has to support Britain, and Britain has to support America. I don't know if France and America have such certain deals like that, right? Because America seems to be staying away from this whole situation.
Can come to the rally. They've constantly told them, hey, we are backing the military against you, leave our country. It can't get better than that. So France allowed the situation to deteriorate. How long will they continue to say they don't recognize the military authority? Their military men in their base have been rendered redundant. They can't do anything. They are no longer doing all the surveillance, all the training, whether we was training or not. Everything they were doing in Niger, they can no longer do it now. So they are just there on holiday. Also, Macron seemed to have recognized his mistake at some point. He started negotiating to withdraw some of the military men, but all of a sudden he changed his mind. Meanwhile, the Nigerian authorities...
Now, look, let's be honest here, right? Niger is a small country. It is much weaker in military might as well as economic than a country like France, right? That's all true. That is all true, right? However, the issue here isn't just simply which country is stronger or more weak or anything like that, right? The reality here, right, is that this whole situation is juxtaposed by the fact that there is, it says non-swallow zone was good. Yeah, this whole situation is juxtaposed by the fact that Niger is going to be the winner, right, when it comes to the trade agreements, right? Let's be honest here. We know a few factors that contribute into this whole issue. Energy, right? This whole war, or rather issues where France is refusing to accept Niger, is to do, a lot of it is to do with energy and security, right? France requires Nigerian uranium because it has very good deal. There are companies there. The company that mines uranium in France is called, I believe, Orania or something like that, right? So if that's the case, this company is operating in Niger. if nothing is done, what's going to happen is that Niger will find a new partner, because uranium is a valuable resource. As countries begin to industrialize more and reach the next level of industrialization, people claim fourth industrial revolution, where machines take over and everything, right? Hello, from Q Butters channel. Shout out to you, Non Swallow Zone, over there. Shout out, thanks for coming through over here, right? If you do actually, for you, Non Swallow, if you do, go ahead, subscribe to my channel, right? I'm running, multi-streaming on several different channels. I'm host Dr. K. If you want to subscribe to my channel, I've just put it on the link. It's over there, right? You can come through my side. I'm streaming there live right now. Shout out to you for coming through as well over there, right? As I was stating, right? There's companies that is getting the resources from the ground in this whole place is Orania, I believe, right? Let me just pull it up. Now, this is a French company. Now, if the French doesn't do anything to make better deals, they're going to lose a lot of their opportunities in this country, right? Because they're just going to sell it to someone else. Yes, Niger will actually suffer a little bit economically because they're a much smaller country. But at the end of the day, what will actually happen is Niger will rise at the end because they do have control of a resource that a lot of people rely on. I think that's where a lot of people are not seeing this whole situation. So let me pull up the company that mines uranium, right? Because this is a war for uranium and it's a war for oil and security, right? So military bases, that's one. Power, France. If you look at the situation here, right? America wants to take over Europe completely, right? America wants a weak Europe, a Europe that relies on them, because America requires that for their own hegemony, right? Their own imperialism. So if that's the case, right? So if that's the case, right? America actually wants France to fall. Because someone asked earlier, right? I believe Mrs. H did actually make a statement, right? Well, what's America's whole point in this whole situation? What's going on? Well, Mrs. H, America wants France to fail. America wants a NATO where they're in charge to be the only power zone in that whole region, right? So if that's the case, you have to be extremely careful here about this whole situation. This is a war for Europe. France is the last real stronghold. UK is slightly there, but UK is a big ally to America, right? But France is the last real stronghold, right? They're a country that has nuclear weapons. They're a country that has nuclear power, and they're the country that has a strong military as well that can actually, sort of protect Europe against American imperialism. So America wants to merge Europe completely, right? And this is why there was a war in Ukraine as well, situation, right? NATO wants power, America wants power, and France is definitely in the way of American imperialism. So that is one reason why this whole war is happening and why America is not taking the French side.
Authorities have accused France of deploying equipment in neighboring ECOWAS countries in preparation for a possible invasion of Niger. Where they got their intelligence is not clear, but to prove that they are taking it seriously, they deployed military men to their border with Benin Republic. If the French are truly deploying equipment and men in neighboring countries, that means they've not given up on military intervention in a sovereign Niger Republic. Despite all that is wrong with a military coup, it is unjustifiable to invade the country because of that. France should put the money they would have used in invading Niger to better use. Besides, it shows their double standards. Why are they not expending the same energy in Gabon? Or didn't a military coup happen in Gabon? Are some military coups acceptable than others? It is simply because the military coup in Gabon doesn't in any way threaten France. They are not calling for the withdrawal of the few French servicemen stationed in Gabon. They are not also threatening all the French companies mining and operating in Gabon. So to France, it is acceptable. They don't have to oppose it. But in Niger, because Nigerians are threatening the existence of France in Niger, they have to oppose them. They have to do all sorts of...
Yeah, so, when you're talking about military ores, right, this is not simply, Niger has, uranium ores. It's more than that, right? Niger has one of the highest grade ores in the world, right? Specifically in Africa, this is one of the highest producers of high grade ores. Ores with a high percentage of high quality uranium. Right, Mr. Say says Niger needs to secure subsidized food for the people ASAP. Yeah, of course, right. That's a really, really great point, right? They do need to do this, right? They need to start thinking a little bit more clearly and being able to, make sure his people can eat and survive. Because right now, ECOWAS still has sanctions on Niger, right? Food is not arriving in Niger that easily right now. So if they don't do this, right, the sanctions might cause a new coup to take place. And this coup might even be pro-West / ECOWAS, because this new coup might want to actually give the people food, stop the people from removing it from power, right? So uranium price hiked, projected after Niger coup spurs slight rise. Now, it didn't rise as much as people claimed earlier, right? But it did actually rise, right? So the company, as I mentioned, right, that does the mining is actually called Orano, right? Orano, this is the company, right? Orano, that's the one that does mining and uranium-related excavations in Niger. It's a French company. So one of the reasons why Niger has to take L is because, hey, listen, they don't actually they don't actually have industrialized nation. And to be honest, this is the issue, right? We've talked about these issues in Africa for a while now, and it seems there's a repeating theme, right? Africa is not industrialized, and that's why they're suffering from all these bad deals, right? And it takes at least 20 years to invest millions of dollars or even hundreds of millions of dollars in order for you to get back the investment by building actual mining or excavation or oil refineries like what Norway did, right? Norway, built their technology. Now Norwegian companies also help other countries excavate oil, etc., right? And they've become self-sufficient, and now they're finally beginning to make profit on the investment that they did. Unfortunately, African countries, this is very difficult to occur. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, right, I want to give shout outs to this company over there, Orano, that is the company which is a French company in Niger doing the mining. So as you mentioned earlier, right, it's worse than just, France is getting the better deal. Well, France is the company that's mining. When you're the company that's mining, you are obviously granted with a lot more power, right, than other countries, right? Because you don't have the same economic output. So that's it, right? Orano. I'm going to read. This is Orano's website. In fact, I'm going to share it with people so that they can read it for themselves, right? So if you want to check it down, I've just linked it on the chat so you guys can analyze this link by yourselves, right? So let's go ahead, right? For more than 50 years, Niger mining companies Sommer, Sommer definitely sounds French, right, and Cominac have been developing value for the country's uranium potential by mining deposits located in the northwest of the country in the desert region of Air, right? There's actually American military base around there. So of course he says always. Exactly. The French are still mining. Exactly. Great point, Mrs. H, right? The French are still mining. So if you look at this, right, for more than 50 years, Niger mining companies Sommer and Cominac have been developing value from the country's uranium potential by mining deposits located in the northwest of the country, the desert region of Air, right? And I believe there is an American base there. So all these things are not non-related, and I think that's something that we have to really kind of consider. All these things are very connected, and they're all very highly related. Since the 70s, industrial activity generated by site operations have been a major asset for regional and national economic societal development. Well, this is just whatever. They're just trying to sound good, right? I don't need to read any of that. I can just read the facts. A third site, let's see. Following the depletion of its resource, the Cominac underground mine was ceased production in 2021, right? Because it's obviously running low on certain resources. However, the site's redevelopment and environmental monitoring work will continue for at least 20 years. So what they're claiming is, right, they're not just going to take the uranium, they will actually make sure that it's not causing environmental issues. But this is just what the company says, right? We don't know if that's what really they'll practice. A third site, Imoraren, right, will begin operation as soon as market conditions permit, creating the condition and carrying out action of the country continuity of uranium mining. So as you can see, guys, right, this company here And I look at this, right? And so earlier, right? This is Orano telling us about the companies that's running and mining uranium in Niger. So you have Somer and you have Cominac, right? Now let's see who the owners of this company, right? This is again Orano's official website, as far as I know, right? Now look at this, right? In 2019, 2,982 tons of uranium produced by the two operating mines, more than 50 years of mining activity. Average grade is 1.9 kilogram of uranium per ton of ore at Somer mine. Average grade, shout out to you, Ike. Over there, Kaiser A. Grifter. Shout out to the grift. The game is real. Kaiser, which country has gold and diamonds? I'll get to that. I'll answer your question very soon. So I'm just gonna go back where I was, right? There's two companies that are operating in the mines in Niger, right? Somer and Cominac. And the people that own it, right? Guess what? It's Orano, right? Orano is a French company, right? So Somer, Sociétés des Mines de l'Air, right? The Society of Mines in Air, right? That's what that means. 63% owned by Orano, and then 36% owned by Sopermin, right? I don't know what Sopermin is, but I'm guessing Society of Patronage of the Mine of Niger, I'm guessing. So basically, it looks like it might be owned by the Nigerian government. I need to confirm that, right? This statement here, Sopermin, and who owns it, right? Because we're doing a little bit of a deep dive to figure out where the money's going, right? And everything. But the issue is, it's written, okay, uranium, Nigerian mine. Yeah. Okay, all our articles, Africa Intelligence, Superman avoid all kinds of being seized in New York. Yeah, I'll have to do that a little bit later, right? This is all in French, and my French is not that great. I can understand very basic French, but higher level French is a little bit more difficult for me, right? Okay, oil and mining industry. Okay, I found an article here by Wikipedia, right? So we can do a little bit of deep dive there too. Give me a second. Let me share my Wikipedia page. I know you guys are gonna come for me and say Kaiser's a fake intellectual using Wikipedia, but it is what it is. So we already stated that these companies are owned by Orano, which is it's a French operational company. Now let's share the screen to find out about this other thing over here, right? Sopermine or something like that, right? Let's see. Uranium, Niger, 5% of the world's uranium output, providing Africa's highest grade uranium ore. It's produced 2000. Okay, I don't care about all of that. Somer, yep, this is owned by Irania, etc. I'm looking at the other one, Soperme or something. Yeah, this is all just French-owned companies. Okay, I might as well just do Control F, right? Sopermin. Oh, cool. We found it, right? Here it is, right? Mineral commodities, right? Produced in Niger include cement, coal, gold, gypsum, limestone, salt, silver, tin, uranium. 2006, Niger was the world's fourth ranked producer of uranium. A new mining code was adopted in 2006, and the former National Mines Research Office, whose responsibility includes organizing mining exploration programs, was replaced by two newly established entities. Okay, so I believe it might be owned by the Nigerian government, right? Was replaced the Geological and Mining Research Center and the mining company of Niger, Sopermine, right? So as far as we know, it is at least partially owned by the Nigerian government. We don't know if it's wholly owned by them, but it's at least partially owned by them, right? So Sopermine is to hold the state's shares in existing uranium companies and is in charge of engaging in it's telling us, right? So as far as we know, right, there's two major companies operating in Niger as mining, right? There is let me just go back and find it, right? The name was there, like give me a second, guys. Yeah, there's Somer and then Cominac, right? So Somer is owned by Orano, 60 something percent. The government owns around 30%. So that's interesting, very interesting. Yeah, so more or less, I guess the government owns like a percentage of these companies. So it's not a complete it's not a complete loss, right? It's owned by Areva and the government of Niger, 36%, right? So it looks like these mines are owned by the foreigners than the actual Africans. which is kind of embarrassing.
When you are in someone's house and the person tells you, hey, I'm tired, I want you to leave immediately, you are no longer welcome. The only acceptable reaction from you as a visitor to the person's house is to stand up and leave. But France is not doing that. France is not only trespassing in Niger Republic, they are now an occupying force in Niger Republic, which is unacceptable. Niger is a sovereign country, they have the right to decide for themselves. No outsider or strangers or foreign countries should intervene in their matter in any way, especially when they are not calling for help. Despite all the flaws in a military regime, the only thing that anyone can do is to stand by and wait. You don't have to force your opinion on them. At worst, if you don't like the situation, you just stand up and leave, which they've already told them to leave their country. Why are they still there in Niger Republic? Another thing we're watching out for in Niger is the 30 days the military authorities gave to the political class to come up with solutions and proposals for how they will return to civil rule, how they will conduct the election and everything. Also, they've talked about amending the constitution, so there will be a referendum so that the public can vote on the amendments to their constitution. All these they will achieve before handing over power to civilians. Yes, like we all know, military regimes can be used to effect quick changes in a country. They don't go to National Assembly, they don't go anywhere to seek approval. They rule by decrees. Once a decree is signed, it takes effect immediately, unlike in a
Yep. And so I can answer your question now, America, Kaiser. Which country has the gold and diamonds, right? Well, there is no one country, right? But I think you mean which country has high levels of gold, diamond. Diamond is usually in the Southern African countries like South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, those kinds of areas. They have a huge diamond industry there, right? And they've even industrialized to process diamonds, right? So countries like Botswana actually export processed diamonds, right? So they've industrialized to an extent, which is why one of the highest GDP countries in Africa is actually from Botswana, right? So clearly they've focused and they've invested in the diamond industry, right? So diamond, yeah. In terms of Black Africa, Botswana probably one of the strongest economies um, over there, right? They actually add value to the diamonds. They don't just export things like other African countries, right? They actually, yeah, which I respect them for that. Let me see if I can share my screen. Again, Wikipedia article, so don't come for me. Yeah, so here's an article, right? As you can see over here, mining industry, obviously, since 70s, right? Over here, let me just read, right? In 2005, mining accounted for about 38% of Botswana's real GDP, and more than 50% of the government revenues were derived from mining and mineral processing activities. So it's a lot of money, right? Over there, right? And we could see it, right? They also have copper, nickel, etc. And copper right now is actually a really blossoming mineral, right? If countries have copper right now, copper's prices have gone extremely high. And as I mentioned earlier, we're now moving, not exactly against oil and gas, but real hard minerals are actually making a comeback. Right now, real hard minerals are actually extremely valuable at this moment, right? If you can produce something like copper, right? If I show you copper's price across time, you'd be amazed. So if countries, right, I'm talking about these African countries, simply industrialize, they could add value, add processing to these materials, right? Make copper sheets, make copper wires, start selling them on international market as value-added materials, they would see a huge GDP increase. And this is, again, foreign exchange, meaning dollars, euros, in order for them to be able to now purchase products from outside their nations. So, yeah. So diamonds, yeah, it's a big thing in Botswana. They also do have some gold mines as well, right, over here. So, yeah, but diamond is one of their largest, it's actually their largest so-called natural resource over there. Hopefully that answers your question there, right? Botswana is one of them, right? South Africa, Namibia is another one for diamonds. Gold, all those countries have gold. Congo also have gold. Ivory Coast, Ghana, etc. All these countries have a lot of these raw materials. Zimbabwe also has gold, etc. Right? So a lot of them have gold, etc.
Where they have to go to the National Assembly, it will pass many readings before it's finally approved, and the president will have to sign it before it becomes law. In a military regime, all this can happen in a twinkle of an eye. The only problem is that they end up abusing those powers. The powers are enormous. People who take power and throw away the constitution, they rule by decrees. So the power eventually gets to them. They'll start looking for enemies that don't exist. They don't tolerate dissent, just like in the military. Once you're given an order, you're supposed to say yes, sir. There's nothing like, hey, what of this way? No, no, no. That's why a military regime should not stay in power for long. They will just come in a revolutionary manner like they did in Niger. They will come there, effect the necessary changes that they want to do, and return back to civilian rule, where there are rules that the operators should obey. All the rules like separation of powers, free speech, independence of the judiciary, everything, they must observe them to make sure that democracy and civil rule works very well in their country, so that their country can move on the path of progress instead of poverty everywhere. So we look forward to what they will come up with, whatever the political class recommends to the military, how the military will respond, and all that. So see you next time. We'll give you updates in Gabon and around Africa. Thank
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to you guys for tuning in, right? If you guys want to join in, right, you can click the link. I want to hear someone's perspective on this whole situation in Niger, right? But I wanted to make it sort of clear that there's different actors happening over here, and I think most of us think France is the only issue, but it's not, right? France is just a small pebble in a large pond, right? And the ripple effects of this pebble falling is we can remove the ripple effects, but there's still the pond to consider, and that's the thing which I think a lot of us are kind of missing. Yeah, it's great to be optimistic, but until we resolve the issues, as I mentioned earlier, right, who's owning the mines, right? As you can see, it's not as simple as, well, Niger is being paid peanuts. Well, it's because Niger only owns 30 something percent of these mines, right? France actually owns the mines, guys, right? As I stated here, right? This is Orano's website. We've looked at it from here. We've done a deep dive. These are the companies operating. We already know that this one here, Somer, is owned by Orano, which is a French company, and it's a large shareholder, 63%. The other one is owned by another company, Sopermin, which is majority Nigerian owned. So as you can see, even just looking at the numbers there, right? The numbers make sense. It's not that France made them sign bad deals only. It's the simple fact that over here, if you look and analyze these numbers, unfortunately, it is what it is, right? As you can see, Niger simply doesn't have a foot to stand on, right? Niger is out here and it's just unable to compete because it's not industrialized. That's it. What's how far? How far means how are you, Mrs. H, right? How far, right? Like, how far are things going? How well are things going? How far? Anyways, let's continue going, right? So we've already done a deep dive there, right? 3 mining sites in the Nigerian desert, right? So discovered in 50s by the CEA, I don't know what that is, exploration teams. The uranium-bearing zones has enabled an entire uranium mining industry to develop, led by those 2 companies, again, French-owned companies, with a little bit of Nigerian ownership, right? Less than 40%, 36% or so. Cominac will stop its production in 2021 following the exhaustion of resources. Orano is committed to responsible closure. I don't care about all that, right? We already did a deep dive there. This is an example of some of the mining sites, right? This is Somer Vu Semble de la Mine Tamug of Niger. So Somer, right? As you can see over there, right? That's the mining site there. Somer continues to invest new uranium resource and extend life of the mine. Numerous initiatives have been launched to ensure that the operation of Somer continues beyond 2035 through technical optimizations and digitizations. They help improve the economy and quality and safety operations, right? So shout out to Somer for doing all this stuff, right? Cominac, underground uranium mine, right? Cominac This is a company mine of Akota is 59% by Orano. Again, right? This is like I keep saying, right? So there's two main mines, right, that are operational: Somer and Cominac, right? And as you know, both of them are owned by over 60% shareholders by the French company Orano, right? Orano is here contributing to at least 59% of this other mine, Cominac. The government, right, of Niger, right, Sopamin, and even that government owned company, I don't even believe it's 100% government owned. It's only 30%. And then 10% by Inusa or whatever in South Africa, Spain, right? So as you can see, right, if you look at this other mine, right, Cominac, it's actually owned by foreigners of around 70%. Right, 70% of this mine is owned by foreigners. So every time when a lot of these, Pan Africans and everyone is, becoming optimistic and talking about how France is so bad, giving bad deals, signing bad contracts. Well, here's the thing, right? You could say that the first contract that was signed was the ownership of these mines, right? The fact that Orano basically owns these mines, right? And also that Spanish company as well, owning 10% of these mines. But the reality is, right, these mines, right, these countries couldn't be able to make these mines by themselves, right? That's the sad situation, right? You cannot go around here claiming anything else other than that. We've done a deep dive, and now we know exactly why Niger gets a bad deal, and hopefully the Pan Africans can stop being so anti-French, right? The reality is France owns those mines. It's French mines. So the small amount of development that Niger gets is because those are French mines, right? France is providing more or less everything here.
You're just a random African dude and you've been elected the president of an African country that recently gained independence from Great Britain. Your country is the third poorest in the world. You have only 12 miles of paved road. You have only 100 high school graduates in a country of 500,000. Disease is rampant. There's been a drought for 2 years, and you even rely on your previous colonizer to make sure that your government doesn't instantly run out of money. You'd really like to make this better, and other countries in the region have made real progress in helping their citizens before. But they've come at the expense of human rights, the rule of law, democracy, and general freedom. You'd really like to make sure that your population can have both a good standard of living while also having social and political rights. Here's how you'd go about doing that. Firstly, what resources do you have? You should first take stock of what your country has to offer. What have you got? Cattle farming, vast wilderness, mineral.
Now, like I said, right, say whatever, right? This guy who married, I believe, a British woman, right, a white woman. I'm not saying that that was high level and that's why he succeeded, but you can clearly see that the way that the Botswanans did things is different from everyone. And just before we continue the video, I want to show everybody, right, just how rich Botswana is. Botswana, I don't know if you can pull it up.
Yeah, Botswana, I think it's richer than all of the Eastern Europe, Eastern Europe. It's richer than Russia. It's richer than
exactly.
Yeah, it's richer than most. It's richer than Romania. It's really rich.
Yep.
Wait,
the GDP per capita of Botswana is crazy high, and it's simply because they industrialized. That's it. Right? We've been talking about this stuff. As I mentioned, in Kenya, we haven't even reached steel age. We're still using iron technology, right? All the little caskets we make, what we call, it's just iron.
I'm gonna pull it up because people don't know how rich this country is. It's insane.
Yeah. It is
Google,
rich, man.
I think Google is lying.
Type in GDP per capita of it.
I did, but I'm getting the wrong answer. I'm gonna look at the World Bank. How about that? Yeah, the World Bank gives a different number. Here it is. It's a lot.
Okay, let's see what the number says here, right? Yeah, exactly. Look at that. Over 7,733. Again, this is gross GDP per capita. If you use something called PPP, purchasing power parity, you'd even see it a lot higher than that
I
because
think
it takes
in the city, it's like 20,000, something like that. In the
yeah,
city,
yeah,
19,000.
of course, because not the whole country is industrialized, right?
True, true. Yeah. This is like this country has a good leadership and it has a small
Yeah,
population. It makes sense why they're
exactly.
thriving. Look at what they look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they came from that.
Actually, I think it's higher than most Northern African countries. Is there a way to, I don't know if you know how to use this website, is there a way to see the African GDP per capita? Like, that would be good to compare them. Right. Mrs. H, it's true. We are dusty, right? We just have, look, Mrs. H, I don't know if you've seen African thieves, right? African thieves don't just steal like, money and the easy things to carry. African thieves will carry even the most heavy equipment. They want everything, man. They have the spirit of greed. They don't get satisfied with a small amount then live to steal another day. Again, stealing is wrong, guys. I'm just saying African thieves have the spirit of greed where they steal everything. This is why the projects that we get from the money from the government never get completed. In fact, the money just keeps disappearing. That is unfortunately the African greed. It is what it is, right? We're born this way, right? As African people, right? Because the Europeans will steal, but still manage to build the bridge. Africans will steal, and the bridge will break and collapse at its opening site. I remember, Andre, do you remember that video from Congo when the Congolese tried to open the bridge and it collapsed? That was crazy. That was insane, right? Somalians are living in the medieval times now. Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, shout out. Thanks for pulling it up, Andre. Okay, so let's see. This is purchasing power parity, right? So this takes into account oh, you should click on it. So like on the right hand side of the column, it will like regularize it into like low to high, yeah, something like that. Yeah, let's go to the highest ones and let's see. Oh yeah, it is the highest, right? Look at that, right? Seychelles makes sense. Libya, wait, Libya still that high? That's crazy. So Libya bounced back. That's interesting. That is very interesting, right? Botswana, as you can see, that it stopped there.
Yeah, but Kaiser, this is oil. Libya is just oil money.
True. But yeah, but that's crazy. You see, Botswana is up there higher than most North African countries apart from Libya, right? Equatorial Guinea is next. That's oil. Gabon, that's oil. South Africa, that's industry. Algeria, Egypt, as you can see, right, it's high, extremely high. So I don't know, man, but the South Africans definitely did something right. Man, that's crazy. Right? To be honest, Andre, that shows hope. To me, that shows that African countries can, if they put their minds together, they might be able to do something, right?
Wait,
Or what do you think?
let's find Kenya. Let's find Kenya. Oh, we have Kenya here.
Okay.
Kenya, it's kind of bad. It's kind of bad. It should be above. It should be next to Morocco.
Oh, well, let me see. Where's Kenya? And let me pull up the screen. Okay.
It's not. Nairobi will be double this for sure.
Oh, Ghana's higher than us, huh? By a couple $100.
Yeah.
Angola, Morocco. Okay, it's not doing too bad though. Like I think that this is just a GDP per capita. Obviously, GDP Kenya is much higher than a lot of those countries, right? Kenya is much higher than Ghana. Nigeria is doing worse than Kenya and Ghana in GDP per capita. That's crazy. Cameroon is there, Senegal, Zambia. These are basically all the losers countries. Where's Ethiopia, right? Keep going down. Oh, Ethiopia.
Okay, 33.
Rwanda. These are now all the loser countries.
These are the losers of the fucking African continent. Mali. I don't know. Come on, man. Uganda. Uganda has a good market. Has a high touristy. Madagascar is poor for no reason. Maybe they were poor because of they were communists.
Yeah, that's also why Tanzania isn't as high as it should be. Wow, Burundi is obviously at the bottom, 790. Whoa, people are surviving on how much money I make in half a month. That's crazy.
That's
The whole year.
basically your rent, you know.
Yeah, that's basically rent. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How are Burundians surviving, man?
I'm
Man,
I'm
that's
I'm
crazy. Yeah.
I'm very sure it's like cheap. It's like one of the cheapest country. I don't know.
Yeah, it must be, man, because like how people can afford it, unless people basically don't have cooking oil and all those kinds of stuff. Because
Look at this, man. Democratically, no, man. You can't be this bad. It's like below South Sudan.
man, that's insane, man.
I can't believe it. Like you have all of the world's resources, and you're this shithole.
Look, like as I mentioned earlier, right? The failure of Africa, Andre, has always been the Africans. It's never been the West. It's never been the East. It's us.
Nah, Kaiser. The white man is keeping these countries down. Let's be real.
No. That's the biggest. That's the biggest lie that they told us, man. It's us, man. Like Andre, listen, yeah. Imagine you got two houses. One house, you guys clean the house every week. Another house, you don't clean the house. Which house is more likely to have sick people? The house that cleans every week or the house that never cleans?
Wait, Kaiser.
Have sick people.
No. I have a good argument for this.
Yeah.
The good argument will be like Africa, the countries who are on top the list are all naturally resources. Like you look at the Botswana, just Libya, all of these countries are in South Africa, just a mining industry majority. Mm-hmm. But South Africa is diverse when it comes to their economy. But compared to these countries, I can see Kenya, but these countries who are on top are naturally resourceful, like they're very rich.
Actually, like, Kenya is not doing too bad. Right? There's 53 countries in Africa, and it's number 17 on GDP per capita. And I believe on GDP.
But I would say like Nairobi, you will make double of this.
Oh yeah, of course. Nairobi's GDP per capita is not that. It's actually triple that, right? PPP, of course, right? So Nairobi, Mombasa, Kisumu, the main cities here actually have money. There's cash flow. People are able to make money. They're able to sell paintings. They're able to, sell things of value and then provide, business. So yeah, 100%. Nairobi should not be. Sorry, Kenya shouldn't be that low if you really consider the big cities. Now, in fact, interesting. You see, Djibouti is lower than Kenya on the PPP. This is a good reason, right? Because Andre, search on a different page Djibouti's GDP per capita, not PPP, just GDP per capita. You'll see that Djibouti is really high. It's like $5,000. But guess what? It's expensive in Djibouti. You can't even afford to rent. That's why PPP is really important, because it takes account the economy of the country. Like, what are you actually buying in the country? How much is your shilling or your Djibouti's currency able to actually get you? How far can you move with it?
Wait, do you think I will get a different number if I? Let me look. For sure, it would be different. Wait, you said GDP per capita, right?
Just GDP per capita. Yeah, don't write PPP next to it.
Okay, I did it. It's not bad.
Okay, let's see how it is, right? Okay, see that it's $3,150, right? That's higher than Kenya GDP per capita. But if you put purchasing power parity, you see that Kenya's one is much higher because the Djibouti is too expensive. If you've been to Djibouti city, you realize people can't afford even rent. Right? Rent is extremely expensive. That's the truth. Now, Mrs. H won't speak. She's only spoken once for like 2 seconds. So she's not going to speak. Yeah, so Botswana, man. Look, listen. If African country wants to be rich, follow Botswana. Invest. Like literally every country that becomes rich, there's key things that they all have to do, right? Industrialize. Like Botswana is producing high quality, great gem jewels, right? Guys, let me make this clear. Botswana is not exporting diamond ores to another country, then they process those ores and then refine it into gems. No, Botswana is actually refining the diamond into gems themselves. Then they're exporting gem quality diamonds, right? Then the jewelers and other, then the middleman takes it to the jewelers, and the jewelers obviously.
Wait, Kaiser, let me ask you a question. Is it a social construct that diamonds cost a lot of money. It is like, it's ingrained in our brain that it is a special thing
Same as
that
gold
is.
for the most part, though,
No,
as well.
but gold is a bit different. Gold
Why?
is, but gold has some kind of value if you. But
Okay, gold.
diamond is like
Right.
controlled by one big corporation.
Oh, you mean like the external exports, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Good
that's
point.
what I mean.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay. Diamond does have uses in industry. Drill bits. Diamond is great for it because it's hard and it doesn't really start to chip away. Diamond is also utilized in a lot of other materials just because it's hard. However, you're right. The price of diamond is unusually high because of the social construct, as you mentioned. You're right. However, gold. The interesting thing about gold is a really good conductor, and it's also inert to a lot of chemical reactions. So gold is actually really useful in metamaterials like scientific research. We use gold in it actually because when I used to make solar panels, we used to heat up gold to a really high temperature, and then we vaporize it onto a circuit for solar panels. So the reason why gold was so good is because gold doesn't react with the other components, like the silver doesn't react with the acid that much, and all the other stuff. Meanwhile, something like silver used to react. So you use silver for testing out experiments, then we use gold if you wanted to like test it for longer. Yeah, so gold is very useful in science research, specifically nanoscience, because of its conductivity and inertness. So yeah, gold is
But
useful.
I say gold is a little bit different. But if you look at our history, we viewed gold as like a money. Basically, before we had papers, gold was like how you hold wealth, basically. But a diamond is a bit different. Diamond is like it's ingrained in our brain. It's like the rich are the one who own diamond, and I don't know. It is a good investment because it holds values. Let's be real. It doesn't crash in value because there are few people who control it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Malcater says so. West African countries are doing better than East African countries. Only Kenya makes it to the top 20 list.
Nah,
Wait,
that's
can
not
you
true.
bring up the
That's
list again? Let's see. Let's see the list. That's not true because, like, okay,
okay.
yeah,
That's
Mark, come
not.
and defend your point. Yeah, click the link,
Yeah,
man.
that's
He's gonna
not true, because that's
say
not
lies,
true that
man.
West Africa is doing better. Only Southern Africa is doing like you see.
Yeah,
Three.
Southern Africa is doing crazy well, even
Yeah.
better than North Africa, right? And I mentioned this before, and Niger didn't want to believe it. Let's count the top 20 list, right? Are you with me? Let's count how many North African countries are there and how many Southern African countries are there. Or no, let's okay.
Top 5 has like 2 East African country.
Okay, so top 5 has Seychelles is East African, Mauritius is East African, Botswana is South African.
Wait, is
Libya
Equatorial
is North.
Guinea Central? I mean Southern
I think
African.
is that Central Africa? It must
No,
be
no, no.
Central.
We're gonna say Southern Africa. It's not West Africa for sure.
I think it's Central Africa. So is Gabon. That's Central Africa. So let's count first. Okay, you count all the East African. I count the West, the South African. So South African, we got Botswana. We got South Africa. That's 2. We got Eswatini. That's 3. We got Namibia. That's 4. We've got Cape Verde. I think that's West Africa. So we got 4 countries in South Africa in the top 20. How many West African countries did you find?
No, I was counting East Africa. I see 5 East African countries in the top 20.
Exactly, right? So this guy is lying, man. How many
East Africa has less countries. Let's be real.
Yeah, let me see. West African countries, right? We've got. Let me see. From I don't see any West African countries yet. I only see. Is Angola West Africa or Southern African?
Southern African.
Bro, there's not even. There's only Ghana.
I see three.
Oh yeah, and Ivory Coast, right?
I see 3 countries in the top 20 of West
African.
Oh yeah,
Cape Verde.
Yeah, 3 countries.
Yeah, 3 countries exactly, right? There's 3 West African countries. Somalia is definitely smoking something.
Yeah, so Somalia is underperforming when it comes to their region. But we're gonna.
Somalia is piss poor, man. It's piss poor. Don't even look for Somalia.
Now I can see. Yeah, West Africa's not rich. I'm sorry.
Whoa, Ethiopia is piss poor. That's what I'm saying. Ethiopia, their GDP is piss poor for their population.
Yeah, Mal, you're lying, man. You gotta come defend yourself.
Yeah,
Man.
Kazo,
Mali is
you can't include Mauritius and Seychelles in East Africa.
No,
Mauritius is in India.
I
Mauritius
do
is India,
that.
bro.
No. Mauritius is in Africa. They
Still East
consider
No, that's
Africa.
India. It's basically India, bro. Mauritius, man. You can't really include
Yeah.
that. That's a different continent.
brother. You know, I know they practice Hindu, but that doesn't make them India.
But even geographically, they're Indian.
No, they're part of the African plains. You know,
But
Africans.
geographically, they're part of the plains, the underground tectonics you're talking about.
No, they're part of the East African Rift. If you actually look at it.
Mauritius
Yeah,
is in the middle of the ocean, bro. It's next to
No,
nothing.
Indian Ocean, but you know they are part of
Yeah,
the
Indian Ocean goes
African
all the way up to Indonesia.
Okay, if you're gonna make that point, you know, some islands of Eastern Africa have to be like Madagascar. For you, will be
Madagascar
not part of-
geographically is closer to the African continent.
uh,
Seychelles geographically is closer to the African continent.
that's true.
But
It's close.
Mauritius, that's a bit far, mate.
Yeah, but they, you know, it's not how they see themselves is they see themselves as Africans. That's what matters. Okay, we will take them in.
Yeah, but in general, like you gotta judge GDP on population as well, you know. So
No, they don't consider themselves part of the Indian subcontinent. You know.
and there's like 2-3 people in the island anyway, so the GDP is gonna be high anyways. Same thing with Seychelles, you got that 50
Wait,
people living
expansion.
there.
Why are we this low though? Like top 50?
Now we are in the war. We came from the war. Somalia can't even be in this conversation right now. We're still, you get me? We're in 1960, bro. Just post. You get me?
Brother,
Independence. That's where you are. That's where we are right now.
do you think that's an excuse? Because I can tell you, Sudan is in a war, but they are above us.
Nah, but our war, we never had a government, bro. We never had a central government. They have a central government at least. We had no government. For years,
Wait,
man, decades.
Kaiser, you know when Somalia didn't have a government, they actually have the currency because no one was copying the currency. You guys know that?
No one was dropping the currency.
No. You know, government wasn't making the currency. It makes the currency's value went up when we didn't have government. Actually,
You're right. You know, something like that. Yeah, even like some piracy and all of that. There were some things that were bringing money in, but still though, man, we're right. Like even you have to understand, a lot of people, their currency is cattle and camels and livestock, bro. So a lot of people, like you get what I'm saying, we have banks in the West, so people GDP can be measured by that. But a lot of the people living in Somalia, their money is all in livestock, you know. So if you got 100 camels, you have like £300,000 there. You get me? But that's not recorded.
expansion. Let's watch the brother, the Snow Bunny. You know, the most highest IQ African leader in history.
Control deposits with no tools to get them. Anything else? That's it. Seriously. This is going to be harder than I thought. Okay, so the mines. You take out a big fat loan from the International Monetary Fund and use it to get the tools to crack at your vast mining deposits. With that, you can export it to the Western world and use the money to pay off your loan as well as keep the government running smoothly. Wait. Running the government? Everyone is uneducated and unskilled. Who will run the country? Right, well, the British. Yes, the British. Those who were part of the colonial administration can continue to work here until a large enough pool of qualified locals develops. No problem. So with the mining rigs up and running, you can sell the minerals to the rest of the world, becoming an export-focused economy. You would personally negotiate a trade deal with the European Economic Community so that you can start importing and exporting goods freely. The revenue from these trades you can use to invest in health and education. With a public-private ownership model of the mining corporations, 50% of your government revenue comes from the mining industry, and this allows you to keep taxes low and even raise more money than you need to spend. That means bountiful dividends to the public and heavy investment from foreign companies. It also means you can ditch the South African rand as your money and set up your own central bank to use your own currency. By now, you have the fastest growing economy in the world. That means subsidies to farmers, vaccinations against diseases, universal education, universal healthcare, airports, contraception, telephones, technology, slippers. At the same time, civil rights and the rule of law are still being protected. Because you're still using the 1966 constitution drawn up by the British, it means you still have to respect the rule of law, and that means free and fair elections. So in 1969, Botswana held its second presidential election since independence. Unsurprisingly, you are re-elected with nearly 70% of the vote, and again in 1974 with an even higher percentage, again in a completely legitimate election. That's how good you are. It's not all sunshine and rainbows, however, as all around your country you are surrounded by the racist regimes of Rhodesia and apartheid South Africa. They do not like the fact that you, a black man, are shockingly running your own country and, get this, doing it well. Also, your wife is white. Big no-no for racists. Until now, you didn't even need an army, because you focused more on poverty reduction than military spending. You never went to war with anyone, so why would you need them? But now Rhodesian and South African-backed terror groups are targeting you and commencing operations in your borders, so you formed the Botswana Defence Force in 1977 to keep them at bay. You also play a role in the founding of the Southern African Development Community as a way for the wider Southern African community to reduce their reliance on South Africa and Rhodesia. In 2019, this region had a nominal GDP slightly bigger than Switzerland. In 1979, you are elected for a fourth time, with 75% of the votes. Unfortunately, you die in office only a few days later and your vice president takes over. But he's just as popular as you, and to this day, your party has consistently been re-elected every election. Since you became president, there's not been a single military coup, major rebellion, or civil unrest. With a proper education system, 90% of your citizens are able to get an education up to age 13 at the very least. In the past 20 years, infant mortality is down 16%, tuberculosis down 76%, STDs down by 2/3, and malnutrition down by 1/4. In just 13 years, the wealth of your citizens increased 10,000%. Not bad in relation to some of the other countries in the area. Today, your country ranks the lowest in Africa for corruption and instability, and even has accumulated over 7 billion in foreign currency reserves. Over 270,000 tourists visit yearly, despite a 2014 ban on poaching and game hunting. In 2019, your government scrapped a law making same-sex relationships illegal, one of the first in Africa to do so. That's not to say your country is now a utopia, though. Nepotism, unemployment, over-reliance on mining, erosion of free speech, as well as a huge AIDS crisis have been plaguing your country in recent times. But with an educated and open-minded population, you should be confident that these are all problems that can be overcome. So in answer to the question, how do you make a country rich from nothing? Number 1, work creatively with your natural resources. Number 2, be practical instead of ideological. And 3, uphold civil liberties and the rule of law.
But it turned out.
Wow. Botswana. I gotta give.
That's what I'm trying to say.
You see,
Bro,
Calvin,
that's what
I
I'm
got
saying. Yeah.
Botswana.
No,
You see, they represent Bantus, bro. No one can represent Bantu better than Botswana. High IQ, you know.
No, but you know why? I think it's because they ain't got that they ain't got that Khoisan DNA in them, man. Like the Zulus.
Oh, they have none, yeah.
Not much.
Ah, okay.
Right?
But,
not like
bro,
the Zulus. You know,
that's a story, though, man. For real, I respect.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, because if you look, I've been doing some research on African tribes, right? I noticed something. The Igbos in Nigeria, they had a centralized government, decentralized but government system that wasn't just simply like a kingship, like you had with the houses. The houses had a better system than the other Nigerians, but then the Igbos had the best system because the Igbos had actual real government structure. You had the religious sect, you had the economic sect, you had the guys for the military sect. They were really well organized.
Wait, Kaiser, look at the South Africans coping. Botswana was really never a colony. Like they're coping.
No, they're right. They're right. There was not a colony.
No, Botswana was a colony, right?
They were a protectorate.
Yeah, but there wasn't.
You know the reason why for that, Andre. Though the reason why they became a protectorate is to stop them from becoming like a full colony like South Africa. and a neighboring country. So they were high IQ. Like the way they done it, if you watch even this video didn't go into that deeply, but they wasn't really colonized, bro. They done that protectorate thing with the British so they can't get invaded. But bro, it was high IQ in my opinion. Kept them from becoming South Africa or Zimbabwe or you get it, Zambia.
Yeah, that is true. Botswana does have Khoisan population, but
Also, especially this year, I'm doing a show on Swahili Coast on the 23rd September. Chilani sponsored it, so it'd be good for you to show up.
Yeah, what's the topic?
Swahili, okay, was Somalia part of the Swahili Coast? And basically, this whole Swahili Coast, talk about Mombasa, Kilwa, all the way down into.
I believe we have some. we had something to do with the Swahili Coast, as like you get me, like some cities in Somalia, coastal cities, were part of the Swahili Coast, from Mombasa to Barawa, Kismayo, I think as well. But yeah, all of those are. But it was mainly it was still heavily populated by the Somalis, and the people that were there were the Barawan, the people that speak the Chimuni, the Chimuni language, and all of that still. And so definitely we were part of that thing because we were rival with the Swahili Empire because the Arabs and that. We even had a colony. Yeah, we tried and get a colony hidden. We hid a colony from them in Mozambique called Sofala. After when they had because we had a big part of what's it called in the making of that coastal Swahili coast, in the trading, all of the monsoons, all of that. So Somalis were, you get me. So we were part of that Swahili kingdom, whatever you want to call it. And for sure, what happened was, you just have rivalries, and you get me. That's what it was. But it's deep though, man. That Swahili history there, yeah. It's man, it's deep. It has a lot of history there, bro.
Yeah. So, do you think Somalia can become like Botswana?
Bro, I'm gonna be real with you. I see that still. You know why? Especially now, yeah. Not even, but maybe development wise, only if, let's say, this tribalism stuff stops. Yeah, and I believe we gotta make tribalism, illegal, punishable by death. Because I don't, you get me? How we're wasting time, bro. You gotta have a leader that anyone who tries to do any tribalist war or anything to do with tribalism like that. You can be your tribe, love your tribe, don't care, you can claim it. But if you want to cause wars based on tribalism, there should be a death penalty made for that, or we should make a prison like Guantanamo Bay in Somalia, which will definitely keep those people in check. Then that would do, because even now the diaspora community we have, bro, we can become a force, bro. Because even now the intelligence, you see one thing about Somalia, in the intelligence sector, we're always dominating. Even in Africa, we're very high. I think we're top 5 in intelligence, even worldwide. So it's that's why even Kenya's a bit scared right now, because we have so much people everywhere, in every country in the world, and you get me. So and we're in high places. So the intelligence is very, you get me, at least that's known. At least that's the one asset we have that came out of this war. So definitely, man, I see a good future, very good future still.
Yeah, but will you ever go back home though? That's the question.
I've already been, and I'm gonna go. You get me? I've lived there already. You know what I mean? So it's not really I'm gonna go back. You get me? I've been there. And I got businesses there as well. So more time. I'm definitely, that's my plan, to move back. That's my plan still. You get me? That's probably all of our plans, man. But I still want the Somali diaspora community, some of them, that a majority of them, to stay, so we can have that. You get me? That thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, man. But to be honest, like I said, man, it's gonna be a huge change coming from the UK to African country.
Oh no. But I've lived in Gambia as well, bro. You get me? So.
Oh, Gambia? Really? You're in Miles' country?
Huh?
You're in Miles' country?
Yeah, I lived in Miles' country. Yeah, I've lived there. You get me? I know Miles people very well.
Wait. For real? You actually were willing to live in Gambia?
There, yeah, I've lived there.
What were you doing?
We own the mall of Gambia over there, isn't it?
Oh, you're working in the mall, so you're one of these people.
I'm not a worker. Getting them a higher up, mate. I mean,
Nah,
yeah.
that's crazy. It's good though. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I definitely see that. Obviously, more Africans doing their thing is always good, right? But like
Bro,
I said, man,
Africa need to clock. They have to notice the best way to make money is in Africa,
yeah,
bro. There's no like you can't make your money unless you're doing something that's high IQ in the UK or America that's making you money fast. Like let's say, when I say money fast, at least like few $100,000 a year. Then you could stay there. But more time if you invest in developing country, like Gambia's a small country, bro. You get it? Like we invested in it 2011. And you know what I mean? We like, you know what? It's developing in that. It's a small country, you know what I mean? It'll get a lot of funding and investment there, you know what? It has a coastline as well. It can become it got a little tourist attraction, tourists like it. So I thought, you know what, let's just build up shop there. We've done our thing, you know what I mean? It was a bit tough at first, you know. But yeah, man, now we're full fledged and it's just going good, man. For real.
how long are you guys gonna be there for?
Bro, like, I'm not sure in it where business is good, so no need to really go anywhere. But definitely, if we get a good price for that,
Yeah,
then we'll sell that off store for sure.
man, that's what's up, man. Like, obviously, I love when Africans start reinvesting back home because, like I mentioned, that's what I'm about, man. Seeing change. But like, still, what made you go there, right? Were you part of the Lebanese people or something like? It's just strange that people go to Gambia to invest.
Bro, even the Lebanese community is you get me. Even when I was in Gambia, bro, it's them that basically they're the heads of these big communities, bro. So like, yeah, man, big ups to the Lebanese, man. They're expanding, you know, they're expansionists. I rate them.
Yeah, what's good, Al? Are you there? Are you driving to Wales or something?
Al, my Fulani brother, you know.
Yes, my Somali Aki. Well, got any good?
Good, man. How's everything going?
Yeah, can't complain, you know. Still here in the Gideon, isn't it, fam? You know that, isn't it, fam? You know, we were born to to conquer. You get me? So yeah, we're trying to conquer the Gideon, but still on the mission.
No, even our big conquerors, as Fulani, I respect them. They're the biggest expansionists, man. You guys had 8 African presidents at one time. One time
Yeah.
running. Bloody
Yeah,
hell.
not real. You know what I mean? We always trying to represent the people, you get me? And you know, and especially the minority, you know what I mean? Because any country you go, you have to work with the minorities.
Even in Gambia, the richest tribe there is the Fulani, you know.
Yes, Gambia, Guinea,
even the
Sierra Leone.
The Sahel, they're really rich there as well. You get me?
I mean, we work with them. The Sahel, they are people still. We're family with them anyway. You know. The Monday group. Yeah, we always work with them. All the Monday group we work with them.
But Gambia is all Monday. All the tribes in Gambia is Monday.
Yeah, you might as well. Even if yes, I mean the whole West Africa, to be honest, is Monday. The only thing is us, the Fullers, we mix with some of us Fullers that actually in the east, like from Nigeria to the east, we mix with the Kanuris, and those in the further north, and the Kanuris and the Hausa, those in the further north, they mix with the Tuaregs a little bit. You know, like the Barbers. Okay. So we have, but those in the further south, they mainly like, you know, this just like basically are more like the Monday kind of people. To be honest, that's why we always, you know, together. You know, we came. In fact, most of the Monday tribe came there together. You know, from the north. You know, from like where Mali is today and Mauritania.
So how come there's a difference? You see, like Monday, and you have the Monday, and you have the like together. Is Ghana like you see the what's it called, the Akad? Yeah. Are they Monday as well?
Well, you know what? They're quite closer to the people of the Monday, but it's questionable. Some of the people are calling themselves Monday group. Genetically, they're not Monday. They're Bantu. You know, they was conquered by the Monday.
Is it me or is Al's network bad?
Yeah, he's probably driving through countries.
Yeah. Well, they know the social group, and like, you know, some of the tribes in Liberia and Sierra Leone and so on. Well, yeah, you're right. In the Guinea Coast, the Fullers are the richest people, definitely, when it comes to wealth. And the Fuller wealth is not showed. You know, they will never show their wealth. You know, they always try and keep it, basically.
Okay.
But
Because even
yeah,
in Gambia, the Fullers there, like
Yeah.
they look like pure, like they have like that like the Ethiopian Somali features look completely. I
yes,
can tell
that's
that.
that's because of the mix with the Berber Tuaregs over the years.
Okay, so they're not pure. Those ones are not the pure Fulani.
If you want to look at the pure Fuller, you have to go to Toro. You know, like in Senegal. You know, that's where most
Toro,
of
yeah.
where Toro is all the way to. Yes, Toro. These are the,
What
but don't
about
forget, even in Futa Jalon, the lighter Fuller,
Yeah.
Futa Toro is no, Futa Jalon is in Guinea, Futa Toro is in Senegal.
Okay.
Yes, the north of Senegal to the Mauritanian border, and you come to the east to all the way to Mali, where you call Mopti, like Massina, all the way to Niger, to the west of Niger. You see that straight line? That's the from Toro all the way to that straight line. That's the land and the origin of the Fullers. You know what I mean? But those that expand to the lake Lake Chad, that's where they picked up with the Kanuris and the Hausa genetics. Yeah, they make during Lake Chad, because we left the west to Lake Chad with the herders. So yeah, you have different Fullers with different features, different look, different colors. So that's why it's hard to pinpoint Fullers like that. You know, does that make sense? Yeah.
No, for sure. You're right.
Yeah, and yes, different looks, different features. Like the old Fuller, which is the original Fullers, where the Tuklo. You know, have you seen Babamal? You know Babamal, yeah?
Tuklur.
Tuklo is Fuller. Anyone that's is an old name for the Fullers before we mix.
Because even in the Gambia, there's a lot of
they got
different types of Fullers. They have that as well. That's what I'm saying. The Fullers in Gambia as well. You have a range. You have like the Fullers that look more like like the Serer type of look. Then you have the Fullers that look kind of light skin. Yeah, okay. Tuklo are those ones. Okay, those are the pure Monday.
Tuklo, they're more of them. These are the old Fullers, because our oldest empire, in fact, in that region was the Tuklo Empire. It was contemporary with the Ghana Empire. While the Ghana Empire was going, the Tuklo Empire was side by side. In fact, the Fullers in Burkina Faso are the one that Sunjata Keita brought there and set up a fort, like a military fort. Yeah. Yes. So that they are different.
The Tekrur kingdom, because even the
Arabs, when they
try to diss the black Muslims, they say Tekruni, because they're trying to say like Tekrur, you know.
Takrur and Tuklo is the same thing.
Okay, that's the oldest kingdom of like Muslim kingdom in West Africa. The Tekrur.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the one. But over the years, those branch exactly. So when they became Muslim, those branch, some of them expand towards the east, and and then obviously mix with the Berbers. And the Berbers carry different genetics. They got Eurasian genetic, Asian and European genetics.
Yeah.
So the Fuller that actually mix with them actually carry that genetic also. And I think some of the Somalians also kind of mixed with them in the Amazic as well, because Amazic is their real name, innit? You don't want to call them Berbers because they don't like it.
Yeah, but what's like the root here is like with us, the Somalis and the Amazic and the Berbers, let's say, at once the Afro-Asiatic and the Egyptians, let's say the ancient Egyptians, at one time we were one people in Sudan. We originated in Sudan, and you have the Chadic people, like the Hausa as well. The Hausa they involved. The Hausa they went west. And what's it called? The same thing with they went north. What's it called? The Amazigh and the Berbers they went north, and the Somalis we went east with the Oromos and Afar, and the Egyptians went north to Egypt, and it just spread. That's how we spread. So at one time, even the Arabs came from that one. The Hebrews, all of that they came from. All of us we originated in Sudan still.
Yes, you're right. We all came from Sudan. Majority of the West African tribe, like Mandinka, most of the Mande group, came from Nubia, where from Sudan.
Yeah, I believe that.
We
I
are
believe that
Sudanese
still.
blood. No, no,
I
you are,
believe
and
that.
also you are very close to the Hausa. The Somalians are very close to the Hausa in North
Yes,
Nigeria.
linguistically, yeah, you're right.
Yes, you are very
The Hausas,
yes.
I think because now they look like like normal Nigerians because of the
Yeah,
intermixing, but they kept their language, so that's why
yeah,
they kept their language at least. Because even someone I was listening to someone they were saying that they see the Hausa as more African looking than the Fulani, even though the Fulani's language is a West African language and the Hausa is Afro-Asiatic. So that's when they get me. I think due to mixing, they changed how they look, and they even carry like a European DNA. Like, Kaiser, am I right? They carry like R1B DNA.
Yeah,
So
R1B,
they were
white man.
white people at one time. They were white people. Then you get me. So
Yeah, because it makes sense though, because they're Chadic, right? They must have come from the ancient like Iranians who mixed with the Europeans, because
nah,
they
but
got
you can't
our
really say that because the Chadic is Afro-Asiatic, bro. They split west. So where did they
yeah,
get that
okay.
where did they
The
get that
Chadic,
DNA from?
it must have been from Mediterranean stuff, because that's the only thing that makes sense to me. Because if you look at, let's say for example, right, if you look at Hausa man's paternally, right, he's R1B, right? That's literally white man, not even Arab man, white man's
Yeah,
DNA.
that's what I'm saying. Is like that's white man DNA, bro. That's crazy to me.
Actually,
And,
that's like
yeah,
European, not Eurasian, European, man. That's
exactly.
crazy.
Yeah. So how they Afro-Asiatic? Then they must be Afro-European. They must have a different linguistic category.
Yeah, but that's the origin, anyways. It's like if you look at the Lemba, right? The Lemba people of Southern Africa. These are obviously
Yeah.
Bantus, but they've got J haplogroup like high rates, like over 50%.
Oh, is that why they
So
believe they're Hebrews?
yeah. So that, as far as we know, they're definitely ancient Arabs, right, who mixed with the Bantus. But they claim that
Ah.
Israelites. So they claim they came from Ethiopia, all the way from Yemen, and then they moved from Yemen into Ethiopia. Then from Ethiopia, they moved down south. They even claim they made the Great Zimbabwe. The wall structure. Yeah, that was a
Oh
show.
man,
Yeah, they
the
claim that.
Shonen exactly. They can't take the Shonen's art their work, man. They can't take their works.
Yeah, but Niger people maternally they are obviously African, so it looks like it was ancient white people that mixed with African women, and they kept obviously mixing with them. So that's why now they're majority African DNA, but the
Yeah.
origin.
And Kaizo, you see the Swahili coast, yeah?
Hmm.
How comes the Bantus like the Bantus on the coast, like the Mijikenda, and they got cucked or they got basically subjugated by the Omanis, and
Oh, how?
The Omanis were so scared of us. Like there's even stories when there was a time, there was two occasions where they took Somali slaves, and the first time was they took a Somali slave, and before they even left the ocean, their ship got sunk. So the word got round. The second time they tried to do it, they took it. They took a herder and his kids, and they took him to Zanzibar, and then what's it called? The Zanzibar guys asked him, "Are these people Somali?" Then the guy said yes. They said, "Boy, take them back. You're gonna get us in a whole heap of trouble." So you get me, like the fear they had compared to like I don't know what was the difference between the Bantus that time and us.
No. So look, okay. There's no such thing as Bantu, right? But I know what you mean. You're talking about the Swahili coast people, right? The
Yeah, Swahili
Mijikenda.
coast, the Mijikenda.
Yeah,
I
the
always
main
say
difference
Bantu.
is it's unity, right? Because if you look at it, right, so at that time Somalis had a sultanate, right? You had Adal, you had Ajuran, etc. So when you have like a sultanate that's acting as an organized group that identifies this is my people, you're gonna basically fall under protection. But if you're having a lot of these random dusty tribes that don't have like centralized power base, that's why you can obviously abuse them, because if you take some random tribesman from this tribe, there's no repercussions. So ultimately, really, what made the Somalis there more powerful is because of their organization. And then the Somalis also failed that organization because that's where the Habesha did it better. The Habesha actually colonized the whole Ethiopia region, colonized everyone, and then made them fight against Italians. Now that's where the
But
Somalis failed.
there's a lot of casual, even that history there, yeah, about the Habesha is fake. I'm gonna be real casual because I've been doing a lot of research. I've been speaking to a lot of. It's fake. You know why, bro? Like, Axum was a village. I'm gonna be real with you. Axum was a village. The people, because even up until Menelik's time, bro, the people that
Yeah.
controlled the Habeshas were the Muslims. You know, from Eritrea, you had the people they couldn't even use the coast because the Eritrea, the Afar, they had their sultanate. You had the Beni Amr on the coast, all over the coast, all over the Red Sea. You had the Beni Amr tribe that were controlling the Red Sea from a long time for the Ottomans. And you get me? So they were boxed into, their regions as in respective regions. And then you had there was a buffer zone where the Muslim, between Eritrea where the Muslims are and Ethiopia. And, so they were lost for 1,000 years, bro. Those people, they were, you get me? They forgot about the world and the world forgot about them. They had no civilization, basically, you get me? So even now when they try to claim other people's history, because in Eritrea as well, they're trying to claim Eritrea like it's theirs when historically they only controlled one coastal town when the rest of the coast was controlled by the Abla, the Beni Amr, and you have the Afar people. So these people, like, I don't know, man, they cap a lot, bro. They cap a lot, Mendele could go give it to him, he done his thing, but by the help of the Europeans, man, they had Muslims over there. But they want to break down the Muslims, you get it? So, yeah, man, like, if you see it from that perspective, how is a Christian nation getting, surrounded by Muslims completely? I mean, how they doing that? So
Right, okay.
I believe, they was in bed, man, fully with the Europeans, bro. Same way where even the Somalis, not fully, I would say, they used to play sides. They used to play the Europeans against each,
Makes sense. That's why they were excluded from the.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think I that's a good way to. You kind of make a lot of sense, isn't it? Right? Because
because they were Christian too. That's what another thing is, a big thing. And the Christians,
even us, we was Christians before we became Muslims, and that's mostly West African. So if you look at West Africa, we've been. It's strange because the oldest tribe in Sierra Leone. Yeah, and for example, the oldest tribe, the only people that can claim Sierra Leone as their land is the Limba tribe. Now, we all know the Limba. They carry the genetic, the Jewish DNA, didn't they? The Limba, they do. So they are the only. They are in fact in Sierra Leone, the third largest ethnic group in Sierra Leone is the Limba and the Fullers. So they're not the majority, but they are still the natives of the land. So like all the other tribe that actually came to Sierra Leone in Guinea, my brother Fexop did correct me, are the native of Guinea, right? So all the other tribes that came to that currently, in Guinea, they are invaders. They conquered the other tribes time after tribe, and then the last people that came into to Guinea were the Fullers and the Mandinka. They're the one that came in and occupied the areas. But it is like that over the years. We always conquered one another and settled, and especially in the west because of the deserts, the invasion of the Berbers when they came in, they tend to push our people further down to the forest, but unfortunately for them, there's three stubborn tribes, which is the Mandinka, the Bambara, and the Fullers, and some of the Sarahules as well, to leave the northern part, even though they occupy some of the coastal side, but they refuse to leave the northern part of the West Africa. If you notice, they're still there. They're like, no, you cannot come and conquer and take our ancestral land and settle and push us down. And
wasn't it a Fulani chiefman that sold Liberia to the Americans?
Yeah, for the returned slaves, Liberia and some part of Sierra Leone. Before
even in Gambia, you have the tribe. You have a tribe in Gambia.
Gambia.
Gambia. Are they in the Akua
Yorubas? They're Yorubas. They're Yorubas, yes. The Yorubas that we settled.
They speak Creole.
No. Some of them are not brought from America. Some of them were captured, from the sea, off Nigeria, because Nigeria was still selling slaves after the abolition of. I know Fulani were involved in slavery, but the thing is where people don't, because of the hatred towards us, they never tell the truth that we are actually the people that also, and also give, slave settlers land to live in West Africa. Sierra Leone, some part of Sierra Leone and Liberia, Sierra Leone and Liberia were part of the Futa Jalon kingdom.
See there, that's what I
right?
don't
But
understand. Yeah,
remember,
why
you remember
yeah.
yeah. You
Go on,
remember
go on, go on.
you asked me about when you say Futa Toro and we have the Fullers, right? This is one thing I read off the real script. We have four kingdoms. The one is Masina, yeah, which is where Mopti region is in the middle of Mali, where obviously which is a hotbed of this terrorism at the moment. And then we have Toro, yeah, and we have that's in Senegal, Futa Toro, that's north of Senegal to the border to Mauritania. We have Futa Jaloni, yeah, and then we have Adamawa, which is in Cameroon, right? So these four kingdoms were the kingdom of the Fullers, but the oldest kingdom is the one in Mali. It's the one that was set up first. However, the people that set up the one in Mali came from Toro, from Senegal. Does that make sense? Yeah, from Senegal,
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
they're all the similar people anyway. So when they came
Exactly.
when they came to Mali region, at that time, obviously, nobody, the Berbers came years later, and obviously, brought Islam and conquered, that part of Mali. They're still there, and Mauritania, and some part of the northern Niger. That's a path into the from the east into the west. So but there's an argument between the Fullers, the historians, whether the Futa Jalon in Guinea is older than the one in Cameroon, but they believe the one in Cameroon is older than the one in Guinea. Because if you look at the Fullers in Guinea, they actually carry the Nigerian genetics also. That shows
Yeah,
the
yeah.
they have the admixture with the Hausas and the Kanuris. So it shows that's why a lot of people say when people say Hausa Fulani is not a coincidence. Is a
Intermixed.
process that's been going on. Yes, it's a process that's been going on since the 15th century.
But don't you
Due
think
to
you guys?
the
Don't you think that you guys really you basically you colonized the house though?
no, we did not. This is a big myth, right? We did
Okay,
not.
okay. Explain. Yeah,
We
break
did
it down
not.
for me. Thank you.
Yes. So Uthman Danfodio was a teacher. He was a very knowledgeable guy. He knew he masters Islam, right? Because we know Fullers, Mandinka, Sonin, like Sarawule, which we call Soninke, yeah, they were the first people that accepted Islam in West Africa. But the type of Islam they accepted, I forgot the name, but it was different to some of the Islam in the Eastern plank, right? So when
You
Danfodio
guys were
went to
Sufis. You were Sufis, right?
possibly yes, I'm
Yeah,
not really
same.
deep
Like even
into
in
that.
Somalia, same thing. We were Sufis as well, but now we
Okay.
are like we had yeah.
Yes.
I know exactly what the form you guys practiced. Yeah, continue.
Yeah. So Danfodio went there. Don't forget, the Fullers are already settled in northern Nigeria around the 15th century. So Danfodio went to Nigeria around the 17th century. So you see what I mean, yeah? So to say
Yes.
the Fullers conquered the Hausa, that's a myth. Northwest
Exactly.
Nigeria through Niger, because Nigeria, yeah. And did you remember I mentioned about the Tuklo Fulani that the Sunjata Keita brought to
Yeah,
the
the
border
took.
to
Yes, yes,
the border to Niger and Burkina. Those guys
yes.
were the one that those guys were the one that already intermixed the Hausas, right?
Ah,
So
okay.
if you go to Burkina now, Burkina, yeah, they are still living with the houses there. They still have communities. Like when I was explaining the last time when the Wagner came to that area, the people that they killed were the Fulanis and the houses, in large numbers. They're still there. But however, the Danfodio when he came to teach and the kind of Islam that we practice in the West, the houses actually followed it because don't forget the houses were already Muslim. In fact, they already interact with the Arabs way
Exactly. There
before
was
us.
already Muslims. You're
Yeah,
right. You're right. Yeah.
thank you. Yeah. So he brought that type of Islam, and also the Hausa kings were really not being funny, but they were really their own people. This is trouble when you have your own leader that's no good. He doesn't like you, and
No,
then
exactly.
someone.
The House of States were ununified up until the
Yes.
Fulani and came and unified them. That's why they were
Thank
known
you.
as House of
Thank you.
States, and they never had
Thi-
a
That's right.
centralized kingdom. Yes.
Never, never. And in fact, if you speak to a lot of the houses, they'll tell you the Fulanis happen to them because for different reasons. I speak to my Hausa brothers all the time, and because I try to break down this thing narrative that I hear online about Fulans conquers Hausa, he just laughed. How can we conquer Hausa that is more powerful and more
Also,
bigger
I
than
was
us?
watching a video of a Nigerian vlogger. He went to northern
Yeah.
Nigeria to visit Fulanis and stay a night with the Fulanis, to dispel the like. But it's like there's a fear in Nigeria about the Fulanis where they fear you guys
Yeah.
like you're the Grim Reaper, like you're aliens. He was even saying that when he was growing up, he saw the Fulanis as aliens, like the Terminator machine, like why and then that same sentiment is in that whole region where you guys reside in, except for like your dominating country like Guinea. So why is there anti-Fulani sentiment in that West Africa region?
There was a problem with most of this started in Nigeria, in the southern Nigeria. They had what they call that Biafra War, which is really brutal. And then some people decide, they haven't forgot about it, and they turn this table around, by unleashing propaganda, against followers and side with our enemies to make us look bad and stuff like that. But it will never work. It's been happening for a long time. The thing is, people talk a lot of stuff about us. They want to get rid of us, but unfortunately, they can't. It's like the sort of relationship we have with the white pound. We always blaming white people for everything. They this. But at the same time, we actually end up going back to the white man to ask them for help. You know what I mean? So it's a funny relationship. If we're that much of a bad people, yeah, why are you going to campaign against us? And then eventually you come back to us and say, hang on a minute, can you help me with this? It's crazy.
That sounds like the same dynamic that the Somalis have in East Africa, in Ethiopia and Kenya. Kenya, 40% of the GDP, of Kenya is in one Somali city that's known as Eastleigh in Nairobi. So we dominate their economy, but they talk bad about us. But continue.
Yes. If people are cussing you all the time, they come to you face and say, can you help me with that? So it's kind of funny relationship. However, basically, go back to Danfodio. Danfodio went to teach this type of Islam, and then one of the Hausa king that was actually more wicked than any other king, who actually was enslaving his own people and actually overtaxing them and stuff like that, invited Danfodio to his palace. Because obviously he was worried that Danfodio is actually getting so popular. His actually kingship is actually is vulnerable. So he tried to kill Danfodio. Then the Hausa people said to Danfodio, "Don't go there. We already know his plan." So basically, then they form like a resistance and kill them and take over the place. And then from then on, the Hausa and the Fulani, conquered the other states, right? And they went further down all the way to Cameroon, all the way to Central Africa. So the Sokoto Caliphate end up majority of the foot soldiers, of the Sokoto were of mixed tribe. That's why I remember one time I was blaming the Fulani. I said to him, "Listen, mate, when the Fulani went to Nigeria, to expand Islam, they brought your people, because anywhere we go, your people will follow. You know that." And other tribes in other Mande groups, we brought other Mande group was to help us, expand Islam in that region, all the way to Central Africa. And so, including the Hausa came from Cameroon today. Cameroon